is the Chrissy Swan Show.
Let's go clicking.
Chrissy's Clickbait.
I feel like I was very early to the party with the Menendez boys because
You were.
I've been across their case since it actually happened.
Was it 1990 or the end of the 80s?
I feel like it was the end of the 80s. I don't know, but I remember it then. I've watched every doco. Frankly, I'm thrilled that everyone's on board now because
Finally.
It gives me more people to talk about the atrocities with.
It's fascinating.
Because you know
story.
that I've been onto true crime since before it was cool.
Yeah.
And I love it because it was a great shame for a very many years for me. I had to lie about my fascination. And now I don't. Everybody's interested in it.
Everyone wants to chat about it.
Everyone suddenly got their favourite serial killers, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, update on the Menendez brothers. If you're not across the story, start now on Netflix. Everybody else is. The dramatisation of this horrendous story. It's called Monsters. And does that title refer to Lyle and Eric?
Or their parents.
Kitty and who was the dad?
Kitty, the dad's name.
Jose. Who do you think Monsters refers to? I think it refers to the parents.
For me, it's the parents, absolutely.
And that's been a nice change. And it's not only us that sees them as the real monsters because they have come up for, we sort of call it parole here in this country where, you know, judges and whatever look at your case and see how you're going and whether you've done enough time and whether you can be released. Their crimes are set to be revised on December 11.
Wow. That's soon.
December 11.
They could be out in time for Christmas, that means, right?
Exactly. And what they're doing is their lawyers are trying to change the conviction from murder to manslaughter. If they are successful, if their crime is downgraded to manslaughter, they will be free men immediately. That day, get your things, get out.
Far out.
Because they've already served
the time
3 times the amount that you would for manslaughter.
Wow. And Swanee, how long have they been in jail for now? Is it 35 years, Tom's telling me?
It must be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even, I don't know, it's so hard to comment on it, but even if they don't change the conviction, I think 35 years is enough for what they did. Is that controversial to say?
No, I think it is
I think it's enough. Given what they went through, yes, you cannot murder
given
anyone.
That they were essentially children when they did it.
Yeah, and you can't murder your parents. But given the circumstances, I think they've done their time.
I agree. So I'll be very interested to hear what happens on December 11th. And if you're wondering how the Menendez boys celebrate Halloween,
absolutely,
they have they've booked their DVD from the prison library.
Yep.
They're going to have some popcorn and watch It, Stephen King's It.
Not going to watch Monsters?
I wonder if they've seen it.
I reckon they would have.
They have to
I think they're both quite into each other. Into themselves, sorry. Not wow, that was a Freudian slip. I think they're
You've obviously seen the show.
I have. I think they're into themselves that they would want to see how they were portrayed. And
yes.
I wonder if in prison they've still got in primary school when they'd roll out the TV on the wheelie thing. I wonder if they've still got them in prisons. Or if it's like a screen up in the... I'm so intrigued.
That was always the most thrilling day at school when they rolled that out. So hopefully they can give the felons a bit of a thrill. Let's move on to Channing Tatum and Zoe Kravitz. News broke yesterday that they are no longer headed down the aisle. They're no longer engaged. It's all over. A little bit more information has come to light. The reasons behind the split, people are saying, a source close to the couple, say that they recently did a press junket for a film that they're both in. It's called Blink Twice. It's loosely a horror film.
Yeah.
And this is it's a weird concept, I think, to be putting out into the domain. They realised on this junket that, you know, when they were being interviewed together, that they're just not aligned and that they want different things.
That's
just so
reason.
odd that it took a press junket.
Like, did a journo ask a weird question in an interview that triggered this? Like, what do you mean? You're busy talking about your work and, being ushered from hotel room to cinema to TV set. Like, huh?
Maybe it was sort of the first holiday they've been on together and, he left his underpants in the bathroom and she just went, oh, this is it.
We're over, Red
I'm
Rover.
not signing up for this.
Yeah,
Very interesting. They have, though, signed on the dotted line before they'd broken up to star together in another film, which is interestingly produced and stars Cate Blanchett, Australia's own.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, they are still going to do that.
Ooh. All eyes are going to be on them on that set. That would feel weird because everyone would be just fanging to see what the dynamic is like.
Yeah, but what is the choice? They say, one of them says, oh, I'm not going to do this job. They've obviously accepted the job because they both believe in it.
Yeah.
So who's going to back down? It's like who gets the beagle?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Who gets to keep the camping, the tent?
Maybe it'll bring them back together, Swanee.
No, definitely not.
The Chrissy Swan Show. The Chrissy Swan Show.
Our show is nearly over, but Ricky Lee, Tim and Joel are warming up their pipes.
And the pumpkins are in their studio, Swanee, because they're doing their annual carving competition.
Oh, my God, it's back.
It's back,
well,
you
let's
guys.
do this and get cracking with them.
Chrissy's Clickbait.
Just an aside, Jack, you said earlier in our sweeping statement segment that if you decorate your house in a Halloween theme, then you should go to jail.
You're tacky. You're tacky and I hate you.
What do you think about carving pumpkins?
Look, it's not something I would willingly take part in. If you threw that up in our show office as an idea, I'd probably poo-poo it.
I tell you what, it is hard work.
That's mainly why.
And also,
the effort
it's
required.
dangerous. I nearly cut my whole hand off doing that.
I know. Ricky Lee, Tim and Joel need to be careful with that.
Be very careful,
Blackers
guys.
especially. He needs those hands to press the buttons
That's
too.
exactly right. Now let's move on to Olivia Rodrigo. Do you remember she was touring here and it was absolute fever pitch? Of course, that has been replaced with Coldplay fever.
Yes.
But when Olivia was here, everybody desperately wanted tickets and it was big news that she fell through the stage in, I think it was in a Melbourne show.
It was, Swanee. It looked quite scary. It was quite a hectic thump.
Yeah, she disappeared under the stage and then nobody ever spoke of it again, but it has come up when she's been plugging her tour back home in America.
You fell through a hole in the stage.
God.
You handled it like a pro.
Thanks, Jimmy.
And you're fine.
I mean, show must go on. That's showbiz, baby. But I'd just been to the Philippines, and I was thinking about my family and my heritage and my relatives.
Of course.
And I fell, and I was all shaken up, and I went to the hospital after. Nothing happened, but they just wanted to make sure I didn't have a concussion. And randomly, the nurse was a Filipino man with the same name as my grandpa, who just passed away a few months ago. And so I was like, wow, that was him looking out for me, making sure I didn't get hurt. And so I'm really happy it happened.
What an optimist she is.
God, actually, no, I can't judge that. I can't call that nonsense because if I see a corgi, it means I'm having a good
Totally.
day. So I hear you, Olivia Rodrigo. I might be wired the same way that she is.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another massive Netflix hit show. It is Woman of the Hour. It tells the story of a dating show contestant who ends up picking a serial killer. And it's based on a true story. Anna Kendrick, who we know from I Always Forget It, Pitch Perfect, directed it and acts in it. And it was a real labour of love for her. Anyway, she sort of did that thing that you do when you're on a creative sort of pursuit. You've got your your blindfold on or your blinkers and you're just so conscious of getting something very good made that you sort of lose track of the subject matter and what it's going to mean when it's born into the world.
Yeah.
Anyway, she suddenly realised that this was a very tragic and sad and scary story and that maybe seeing it could be triggering for a whole community of women. And it made her look inward about the profits.
Believe me, this was never a money-making venture for me because, all the resources went to actually just making the movie. Yeah. And then it was oh, there's money going to be exchanging hands. I asked myself the question of do you feel gross about this? And I did. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not making money off of the movie. The money has gone to RAIN and to the National Center for Victims of Violent Crime.
What a great idea.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a really nice thing to do. I don't think she should have to do that, though, but I like that she has.
And you know what? She didn't have to do it. That was her decision. And I loved hearing her say that she spoke to herself because that's another thing that I do. I go,
I know.
how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
How do you actually feel about that? And then you've got to go with
your
what
answer.
The answer is, yeah. So I think if I was her, I would also feel yuck about making money off a story that impacted so many women and men and family members and generations of people, but so tragically.
I think it's great she's done it, and I would like to, if I was in her position, I'd think I'd do the same. But don't you think, given the work she put into it and the fact that acting is her job, creating movies and telling other people's stories is her job, I think it's okay that she gets paid for that.
Yes, but I think she's probably got enough and she can let this one go.
Yeah, once you're in her spot.
Like if her morals... Yeah, it's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it ever.
Hey, Ricky Lee, Tim and Joel are up next. Their pumpkins are ready to go. The studio is decorated. I will see you tonight at Coldplay, Swanee.
Yes.
I cannot wait.
Or will you?
Who knows?
I mean, there are a lot of factors at play here.
If you missed those factors, make sure you grab our podcast on the Nova Player app.
Now check this out.
The Chrissy Swan Show is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.